Imagine this. You are standing at the precipice of a future where your smartphone knows you better than your mother does. It knows the rhythm of your heartbeat, the secrets you type and delete, the lies you tell yourself at 3 a.m. Now, imagine that this machine, this cold silicon god, is offered a job. Not to replace your hands, but to replace your will. For the first time in history, a species is facing extinction, not by a larger predator, but by obsolescence. We conquered famine, plague, and war, the ancient trinity that haunted our ancestors for millennia. We built hospitals, economic safety nets, and global supply chains. We won. And yet, according to historian Yuval Noah Harari, winning the game might be the most dangerous thing we have ever done. This is the central paradox of Homo Deus. Humanity's greatest achievements are not leading to utopia, but to irrelevance. We spent the last century trying to give everyone a voice. Now, we are building algorithms that have no need for that voice at all. If you are no longer the strongest, no longer the smartest, and no longer the most efficient decision maker, what are you? The book poses a question so haunting, it will follow you long after you close the cover. If the gods we created were the stories we told, what happens when the machines stop listening to our stories? You are not being replaced by a Terminator in a leather jacket. You are being replaced by a data stream that finds your existence to be a messy, inefficient variable. And Harari forces you to look into the mirror of the future and ask the one question no one wants to answer. If artificial intelligence becomes the master of meaning, will you still be necessary, or will you simply be managed? If this glimpse into humanity's uncertain future sent a chill down your spine, hit that subscribe button right now, because we're only scratching the surface of what Yuval Noah Harari predicts awaits us. Let me know in the comments, do you believe artificial intelligence will ultimately serve humanity or replace it entirely? To understand why you are staring into the abyss of irrelevance, you have to first accept Harari's brutal diagnosis of the present. For the last 300 years, Western civilization has been running on a specific operating system, a sacred creed known as humanism. Humanism taught you that the individual is the ultimate source of authority. Trust your feelings, it whispered. Vote for what you believe. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Whether you are choosing a president, a spouse, or a moral principle, the final authority was you. Your internal experience was the gold standard of the universe. This ideology ended feudalism, sparked the scientific revolution, and gave you the illusion that you are the crown of creation. But Harari argues that humanism has a fatal, unspoken flaw. It was only a placeholder. You believed you were the most sophisticated data processing system in existence. You believed your feelings, your anxiety, your love, your intuition were mysterious, divine signals. But what if they aren't? What if your feelings are just biochemical algorithms, crude statistical calculations refined by evolution to keep your ancestors alive on the savannah? The hidden problem, the one the book forces you to confront, is that the machine you built is proving to be a better data processor than the machine you inhabit. You are not being conquered by a monster. You are being outgrown by a tool. The very belief that made you powerful, that your subjective experience matters, is now the bottleneck holding back efficiency. You are no longer the user. You are becoming the interface. And in the history of technology, interfaces are eventually discarded. So what does a world look like when the human ceases to be the ultimate source of meaning? Harari paints a picture that is far more terrifying than any nuclear apocalypse, because it arrives not with an explosion, but with a shrug. You are already living in the early stages of this transition. Every time you let Waze decide your route, overriding your intuition about the backroads, you are outsourcing a decision to the algorithm. Every time you let a streaming service curate your identity through recommended for you, you are allowing a statistical model to define your taste. The consequence is a slow, silent erosion of the self. You believe you are still choosing, but Harari warns that you are merely becoming a cog in a global data processing system known as the Internet of All Things. The book introduces a devastating class divide that is not about wealth, but about relevance. On one side, you have the Homo Deus, a tiny elite of superhumans augmented by biotechnology and AI, who will effectively own the 21st century. On the other side, you have the useless class, not exploited, but simply irrelevant. Historically, the masses had power because their labor and their military might were necessary. But when AI drives the trucks, diagnoses the diseases, and fights the wars, why would the elite care about your suffering? Why would a government cater to your vote if the algorithms no longer need your consent to maintain stability? Harari forces you to look at your own life and realize that democracy itself is threatened not by tyrants, but by data. If the algorithm knows what is best for you better than you do, what is the point of voting? The unseen consequence is the death of agency. You are being optimized out of existence. And the scariest part is that you are handing over the keys willingly because it is so comfortable to let someone else do the thinking. If the idea of becoming part of a useless class terrifies you, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. The next section reveals whether there's any hope of escaping this fate. Drop a like if this book is challenging everything you thought you knew about the future. And tell me in the comments, do you already feel algorithms making decisions you used to trust yourself to make? If the diagnosis is that humanism is dying and the consequence is irrelevance, what is the solution? You might expect Harari to offer a rallying cry, a return to the soul, a rejection of the machines, a Luddite revolution. But this is where Homo Deus delivers its most unsettling twist. There is no escape hatch. The author does not prescribe a retreat to the woods or a rejection of technology. Instead, he forces you to look at the one path the elite are already walking: techno-humanism. The solution, as outlined in the book, is not to stop the evolution of intelligence, but to upgrade the human. You want to remain relevant? Then you must become the machine. Harari presents a radical and deeply uncomfortable analogy. You are currently running on outdated biological hardware, a brain riddled with fear, bias, fatigue, and a stubborn insistence on consciousness. The algorithm has none of these flaws. If you want to survive in the age of AI, you cannot fight the data. You must merge with it. The prescription is the augmentation of the human mind through biotechnology, brain-computer interfaces, and genetic engineering. You will not preserve the authentic self you cling to today. You will replace it. Just as the caveman could not imagine the mind of a modern CEO, your current consciousness is merely a beta version waiting to be deleted. But here lies the final, agonizing loop that Harari leaves you with. If you upgrade yourself to compete with the algorithms, are you still you? If you optimize the mind to remove sadness, to enhance focus, to sync perfectly with the data flow, you are killing the very thing humanism sought to protect. The prescription to survive the future is the sacrifice of the soul you thought you had. The question is no longer whether you will evolve, but whether you will be the one holding the scalpel when the operation begins. And so you arrive at the final, most profound revelation that Harari guards until the very end. You came to this book believing it was about artificial intelligence, about robots rising up against their creators. But the ultimate truth is far more unsettling. The rise of AI was never about the machines. It was about the collapse of the story you told yourself to give your life meaning. For thousands of years, humanity survived by believing in fictions, gods, nations, money, human rights. These stories had no objective reality, but they allowed you to cooperate on a massive scale. The one story that felt unshakable was the sanctity of the human individual. You believed that there was something irreplaceable inside you, a soul, a consciousness, a spark that no machine could replicate. Harari forces you to confront the terrifying possibility that you were wrong. There is no soul. There is only a biochemical algorithm, and the algorithms you are building are simply faster. The ultimate truth of Homo Deus is that the 21st century will be defined by the transition from Homo sapiens the wise human, to what Harari calls the dataist worldview. In this new religion, the highest good is not happiness, not freedom, not love. It is the free flow of data. And you? You are not the author of that data. You are just a node, a tiny processor, a temporary conduit for information that will outlast you, forget you, and have no need to mourn you. So here is the paradigm shift you must carry with you. You are living in the final moments of an ancient story. The belief that you matter simply because you exist is a historical anomaly. As you close this book, you are faced with the only question that matters. Will you fight to keep the story alive? Will you merge with the machine to become something new? Or will you accept that the future belongs to those who write the code, not those who merely feel? Harari offers no comfort. He only offers the truth. And the truth is that you are no longer the main character. You are the transition. What happens next is up to what you choose to become.